Is your development environment this complicated? If you start playing with stuff at home, it gets weird. So I have a Windows, I have a Mac too, but my primary machine, because of some constraints, is a Windows 11 machine I run VS Code SSH on, and I have a GPU in it, and NVIDIA GPU in it. And I started looking at the development environment that I'm using when I'm working with large language models and doing some Python and using NVIDIA AI Workbench and doing some other things. What I'm not talking about here is like setting up. Actually, really, I'm trying to run a lot of things containerized rather than running standalone or, a bunch of custom Python environments or other things. So in this case, I have Windows 11 with my browser-based tools, SSH, so that I can get off onto other boxes, and really primarily VS Code. If I'm doing Jupyter notebooks or anything else, then that would actually be a containerized service. And so I have some containerized pieces, including some containerized databases. Most recently, using NVIDIA AI Workbench, one of them had a Milvus and a Redis databases on them, if you call it Redis a database. And so those run in containers. So I have a containerized environment. That's also where the next talk is going to be about LLM containers locally or semi-locally on my server. Oh man, I got to put a box into my server thing. Man, that's not going to work. So it turns out I'm using NVIDIA AI Workbench. That actually presents an interface on Windows, but it actually runs in a virtual machine in WSL. And that NVIDIA AI Workbench, when you start it up, it actually runs a project container whenever you open a project. So you kind of have this virtual machine that the tool runs with, and then you've got this project container. And then I've got Docker installed, and so Docker on my Windows machine, I end up with two different VMs. Now, because I have bound the Ubuntu, I also have an Ubuntu virtual machine, and that's so I can do script development because of the NVIDIA AI Workbench is Linux, but I don't want to mess with it because I don't own it. And if I need to do Linux scripting and other kinds of power tools work, that ends up being an Ubuntu instance of WSL. So actually I have 4 WSL instances running on this machine, and the Ubuntu and the NVIDIA AI Workbench are also bound into Docker. And so the Docker commands on those machines talk to the containerized environment on the left side. In addition to that, I have my own server, like I think I said, I don't remember what take that was in. I actually am running Ubuntu 2204 or 2201 on that. It doesn't matter. And that's actually where I run another containerized environment on that machine also. And then you have like all the cloud stuff and version control. So the Windows development environment can be really pretty complicated.